Welcome to this edition of Education Briefs, brought to you by the New Jersey Association of School Administrators, which is comprised of Chief Education Officers and school administrators representing school districts throughout New Jersey. Here is Dr. Richard Baza, Executive Director of the NJASA.
By law, each child in New Jersey is entitled to a proper education. But New Jersey's poorest students have not received one, according to the New Jersey Supreme Court decision issued in late May. School funding has been a controversy debated in the courts over the past 4 decades. The case is Abbott versus Burke. What's at issue is the fact that the state did not fully satisfy the school funding law. In fact, the funding shortfall in 2010-2011 was $1.6 billion. The lack of funding didn't affect just the poorest districts. Districts throughout the state were forced to cut staff and programs. Students everywhere suffered the consequences. In a narrowly divided 3-2 opinion, the court ruled that the Christie administration and the legislature violated the constitutional rights of children living in the 31 poorest communities in the state, known as the Abbott districts. The court ruled that the state must now provide $500 million in additional funding to these districts. The ruling is viewed as controversial because out of the 205 school districts spending less than the amount of money determined to provide a thorough and efficient education, only the 31 Abbott school districts will receive more financial support. As a result, the school funding law continues to remain in a state of flux. Will other schools get the money to bring up education to the standard? Where will this money come from? Without sufficient funding, they're at risk for delivering an inadequate education. The decision has created another issue. How will the Abbott districts spend their newfound money since next year's budgets have already been established and approved? The state Supreme Court decision seems to create more questions than answers, particularly since it did not address the additional needs of students living in poverty outside the Abbott districts. The final question is, how will New Jersey legislators finalize and finance next year's budget by July 1st, particularly since there is pressure to provide additional funding beyond the court's mandate?
New Jersey's Chief Education Officers, moving education forward. To learn more about New Jersey's Chief Education Officers, visit us at the web at njasa.net.